Hi, my name is Misha Laurent and I'm the owner and chef of a small restaurant in Katoomba called 8 Things. And today we're going to prepare a very traditional French dish called bœuf bourguignon, and it really translates beef Burgundy. So first we need to start cutting the beef, and the cut is called chuck. So once you've cut the pieces quite thick, we need to marinate it overnight. So we put this in a bowl. To that we add 1 carrot that I've sliced really thick because we're going to cook it for a long time. We add 1 brown onion. We have here 500 ml of red wine. Pinot Noir is the closest you can get to the Burgundy wine. So wine goes in there. Then we're going to do a bouquet garni, and we're going to tie it up with a string, and that's going to also sit in the marination overnight. And here we go. So that basically helps for the leaves not being loose all over the place. And then just give it a bit of a massage. It's okay if the wine doesn't completely cover it at this stage. Then we're going to add the pepper. It's about a tablespoon of whole black pepper. And lastly, we're going to use our garlic, which is also going to be marinated. I'll just show you a little trick on how to remove the skin of a garlic. This end you need to cut off. This is no good to you. Then you just give it a bit of a push with your knife, nice and flat, and you'll see it just falls off the flesh. So that's 2.5 garlic goes in there as well. So we're going to marinate this for a good 12 hours in the fridge to give it maximum flavor. We're going to wrap it up with some Glad wrap, and we'll see it tomorrow. I've just picked this up from the fridge. Now we're going to do the cooking process of it, and it's very simple. Once it's really hot, we're going to add olive oil. It's fuming, and now we put our meats in. Very important is you leave it sit there because you want the meat to brown. So if you're moving it around, then it's not going to get a chance to caramelize. So once you get to then the first side down of your beef, you're going to season it with a nice generous pinch of salt. So because I have a small pan, I decided to do it in 2 lots because you don't want to overcrowd the surface, and that will give it too much liquid, and then again it won't then fry and color the meat. This is the right caramelization you're looking for. Nice and brown, and then we're ready to turn. So while your meat's frying up, what we need to do is we need to separate the vegetables from the liquid because we're going to fry those vegetables in the same pan. That's pretty much ready. We put it aside. Now we introduce the vegetables and fry the vegetables in the same pan. So we're coating the vegetables with all that meaty goodness. So once the onions are translucent, or just about, that means that they have been cooked. That means that we can now reintroduce the beef into the pot. There we go. And then we got some beautiful juices can go on top. Don't throw that out. That's probably some of the best flavoring you can get. The next step is introducing the flour to this. We're going to turn it down. What the flour is going to do is going to thicken your sauce. So we're going to grab the flour and we'll just spread that flour on top, and now we give it a nice stir. And we cook that for about a minute or 2. So it's almost like toasting that flour. So now that we've floured the beef, we're going to introduce the marinated liquid. So the liquid that's been marinating the beef overnight. So we're going to put it back on high heat. We're going to grab our stock and we're going to pour this all the way up to cover, just up to this level. So still meat is popping out, but you know, it will give you a good amount of liquid. So to options from this point on. Option one is you can put a lid on top and put it on low heat for about 2.5 to 3 hours. The other option is you can put on your oven at 220 and then you can shove this dish in there and have it in there for 2.5 to 3 hours as well. All right, now we have our beef stew on the heat. Now we're going to do the garnishes that traditionally served with that dish in France. We have very hot pan and we're going to start frying our bacon. And you want it really sizzling and hot. What we want to do is we want to use one pan to do all those together. So we need to fry this bacon until the oil seeps out and crisp. And then we're going to put the bacon away, keep the oil in there to do the rest. So while we're frying the bacon, I'm going to show you how to remove the skin from the baby onions. What you do to get them peeled whole is you take the top off and then you take this bottom part off as well. Then what you do is you make an incision in the first layer and you peel the skin off. All right, bacon is crisping up nicely. With a slotted spoon, we're going to remove the bacon and keep all that fat in the pan. I like to use locally smoked bacon from the butcher here up in Lura. He makes his own. All right, so now we've removed the bacon and we're gonna toss those through the fat. We're gonna grab a little pot this way. And what we're gonna do, we're gonna place the onion inside that little pot. We keep some of that fat for the mushrooms. Some of that beautiful beef stock that we had heated up before. We're gonna cover it up and we're gonna put it on low heat. Now we still got some of that beautiful bacon fat in the pan. We're gonna put butter and our mushrooms. All right, so mushrooms are being fried until brown. Don't forget to season with a nice pinch of salt. Not too much, but just a nice little amount. And when the mushroom gets to that sort of color, what you want to do is you want to, again, we call it deglaze, which means stop the frying process. So we're adding liquid and we're using the stock again, just to keep it in the theme. And those mushrooms are done. We'll just sit them aside. So once you've done that, we're gonna concentrate on getting our third side dish, which is the potatoes, and that's what you're gonna eat it with. And potatoes very important. Some people use sourdough to just soak up the bread in that beautiful sauce. There is a great bakery up here in Katoomba called Black Cockatoo. They bake in Lawson, and that's where I usually get my bread. Now we're gonna boil the potatoes. So just a pot with lukewarm water. You don't want to boil the water and then put your potatoes in, because what will happen is it will split the skin. You want to add some salt, so a generous pinch of salt in there, because you want the potatoes to be seasoned. And then you bring this to a boil. All right, now our potatoes are cooked. Now that we drained the potatoes, we just want to let them cool down. You don't want to burn your fingers. So I've used chat for this recipe because I like small potatoes to go with it. But what I would always recommend is when you boil your potato, always boil them with the skin on, because it prevents from the potato to suck a lot of moisture in while cooking. For this recipe, we're going to keep it old school and we're going to remove the skin because we want the butter to coat. So very simple to peel a potato that's been cooked. You make a tiny little incision in the skin and you just peel that skin off, and it should come off really easily. So now we're going to finish the potatoes. Once you've peeled them, we're going to put in a hot pan some oil and some butter. Why I use oil and butter is because the oil is going to make sure that the butter doesn't burn. Then we're going to add the garlic. Then once the butter is melted and we've cooked the garlic halfway through, We're going to introduce the freshly chopped parsley. We put those and we're going to fry that herb. You can see garlic is brown, herb is frying, and now we put it on really low. All right, now we're gonna put those potatoes in, introduce a little bit of salt. Remember, you've cooked the potatoes with salt, so they've sucked in some salt through the skins. And we're gonna coat those potatoes with this beautiful butter. And then you can put it, if you want, in the oven for a little bit to warm the potatoes through, or keep it on the stove gently cooking. Okay, this is it. Now look at this. Beautiful beef stew, bœuf bourguignon. Now we're gonna garnish it. So what I usually do is I put the mushrooms on, the beautiful soft caramelized onions, and then some of that crispy bacon on top. And to go on the side, our beautiful garlic herb potatoes. Okay, we've just cooked a bœuf bourguignon, beef Burgundy. We have many other dishes from around the world here at 8 Things in Katoomba. And if you want to come around and try them, we're here 7 days a week. And for now, enjoy your beautiful beef stew. You can turn that into a beef pie the next day if you have leftovers. Don't forget.